Going back into your mention of you trust anecdotal studies more than controlled studies. And I'm curious your thoughts as to how people can cipher through the weeds to create trust and understanding to in order themselves to find what works.
Well, it's a great question. And listen, I have to say, I have, so I was pre-med, I ended with a degree in economics, and I have a certain cognitive dissonance to this concept that you're talking about, and that is I'm a big free market person. I think the United States and the free market has brought a lot of good to more people, and you can see, benefit and the freedom of it. However, in the realm of food and healthcare, it's really it's really an opposite economic model. Here's a bottle of water. I pay $1.50 for it. I'm happy. Company's happy. Everybody wins. In healthcare, the more people, God forbid, are not well, that's where money is made. If everyone was well in the United States, all the hospitals would close down, all the industry would close down, and that's what we would really want. But they don't want that. Pfizer can't survive on that. All the companies cannot survive on that. So they've been constantly lowering the bar. It used to be at 60, you needed this. Now it's 50. Then they said, oh no, between 50 and 40, that's another market. So, and then the kids on the other end, every kid is ADD. I grew up, we're all, what is ADD? You have energy. You're a kid, it's like, no, every kid is ADD. They need this, they need that, so they've lowered the bar on all these things in order to widen their markets and widen their profitability, because and I understand it, because a company needs to survive. How can they survive if they don't do it? But they're doing it at the expense of us. And they're doing it at the expense of camouflaging something that really is harmful, and sometimes even worse than harmful, than for our benefit. That's in the pharmaceutical world. In the food world, the same sort of thing has happened, that a company gets so big, like Kellogg's or General Mills or Melendez, and how can they make more money? They have to survive. They have to be privy to their shareholders. So they found a way to take almost every product, and instead of sugar, it became corn syrup. Instead of salt, it became maltodextrin or dextrose, because it's cheaper. So you have the same product, but in 1965, McDonald's fries had 3 ingredients: potatoes, tallow, and salt. Today, there's, I think, 9 ingredients. Now, how do you go from 3 to 9 in a potato or in a French fry? Because you have to add all these caking agents, because tallow and just a real good potato is quality and more expensive than reducing the potato and reducing the tallow to something else, into some caking agent, which is what goes into it. And that's how they make more money. So that's really where we're at in this battle. And, it's funny. I had a discussion with someone a few weeks ago, and I personally like to find my eggs soy-free and corn-free, and they're not cheap, so to speak. They're not your $2.99 eggs. They're always $8, $7, $8, $99. So, but I say, okay, nobody has a problem, look at psychologically, to go to Starbucks and get some type of pastry and a coffee. Let's say the pastry is $6, could be more, $7. But for 3 eggs at 80 cents, whoa, that's expensive. Look at how people look. They have no big deal spending $10. But since they're used to getting eggs at $2.99, for 20 cents or whatever, So I was just like, hey, and I sort of painted a different picture, and they were like, wow, that's interesting. I could have really a healthy breakfast that looks like it's more, but it's actually one third the price of all the junk that people were getting. So that's the initial our initial start delve into this subject. But that's my view on my overall view on those two particular aspects, which is the healthcare system and the food system.
Really helpful. I like seeing that. And what I'm hearing is, part of the reason why I think McDonald's shifted their approach is scalability, trying to have more product at a lower price. Like you said, it's cheaper, elongated shelf life. Now it's going to stay on the shelf for a longer period of time without going bad. I mean, a potato eventually goes bad. A tomato goes bad. Like eggs eventually have an expiration date, and that makes it where it becomes less valuable because it can't just hang out. And if you don't sell them, eventually you got to throw them out. And now it's wasted, potential. It's wasted and not profitable at that point. So that's a very interesting perspective. And the other thing that's so interesting to me is going back to mentioning the free market. When you look at some of the heavy hitters in the world, especially in corporate America, like Elon, Zuckerberg, and people of that nature, a lot of them gave the middle finger to the normal education system. And they realized, hey, I don't want to play with this social programming. I'm gonna change the game, be disruptive, push boundaries, and then I'm gonna create my own game. And what's interesting when you talk about the Starbucks model, you're absolutely right. You can easily go there and get a black coffee for $1 and change, but nobody does that. They want the sugary, sexy drink that has the 17 different names associated with, the venti, or I don't even know the size, and they can't call it like small, medium, large anymore. Right. And it becomes this marketing ploy. And then you pay $10 for a pastry and a coffee, huge sugar high. You feel aesthetically cool holding that cup, and it creates this whole nostalgic feeling based on the narrative and the social programming. But then you don't realize long term how many buckets of sugar you're dumping down your pie hole throughout a year, when you could be having real food, quality ingredients, quality fats, things that are going to optimize your nutrient density, your energy system, and probably also help support a local farmer doing their thing. I feel like it's so ass backwards to me, and I don't understand why that's not getting through to the skulls of people when they're making choices in alignment with, it's almost like MK Ultra, like they're just getting brainwashed to make these decisions. And then when you point it out, you're labeled a conspiracy theorist.
So they're addicted to two things. Either the sugar, or both probably, and starches. So that's, the dextrose, maltodextrin, those things that they started to sneak into foods are highly addicting. And that's why the chips, people take these potato chips and they think they're getting, something healthy because it came from Whole Foods, and but they're getting stuff with maltodextrin and dextrose, and again, these are carriers which provide two things. They provide this additional shelf life, like you spoke about. They provide this flavor enhancement, and they are highly addictive. And they spike your sugar more than sugar. The glycemic index of maltodextrin and variations are 100 or more, which is like 30 points higher than table sugar. So it could say no sugar, but yet a person's going to eat it and actually get a sugar spike, and therefore that's also highly addictive. So those are two areas in which they've really mastered, this, and conquered people, and especially the youth. At a young age, they put all these marketing things on cereals and Pop-Tarts and all this type of stuff to make the kids want to have it, and then they can't parents can't have arguments with their kids because they have enough already, so they give in, and then that's how it starts. And this is what we're battling, and we're trying one step at a time to reverse it, through knowledge and through not through. I mean, sometimes we have to be forceful, but with people, individuals, we have to just put our arm around and say, listen, take a look, try to understand where you are and how you can improve and massively improve your health and well-being, and take some steps. It's not a zero-sum game. It's a progression.